Bro, listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Can't get enough baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There's nobody I'd rather have on the podcast right now. Fact, because Pap, you didn't know I was going to honor you. It's a big surprise. Let me be the first in the days leading up to your big day of being inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame to congratulate you in all sincerity. I watched you for all your years of pitching for the Red Sox, playing for the Red Sox, being a Red Sox, and you are absolutely a Red Sox Hall of Famer. It's a formality, but let me just tell you, in my eyes, Pat, day one, I knew it was going to be, let it be said, let it be done. You were Red Sox Hall of Famer. Congratulations.
Rob, I'll tell you what, man, that might be the most special congratulations I've ever heard. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, it's true. I feel very honored and very fortunate to have covered you from 2005 through 2011, right? You came in 2005, yeah. And I feel very fortunate to have covered you because, first of all, as we've talked about before, it's, I miss those teams. That era, I miss covering those teams. Is so much personality in so many different ways and so many different people coming from so many different angles. But also they're good teams. And Pap, one of the things I remember when you came up, man, I remember just holy crap. His ball just explodes for the last 5 feet.
What is that? What is going on? Is that spin rate? Whoa, wait, what was that?
If you said spin rate to me back in 2006, I'd be like, what, Top? What are you talking? We're doing donuts in the parking lot? What's going on? But it was true. And I remember asking Farrell about this. He was a pitching coach. I said, why can you explain to me why Papelbon's ball jumps the last 5 feet? And it was listen, I'm not blaming John because we're all trying to figure it out at the time, but he was like, well, he releases it from out here. It's coming from the white uniform. It's all this different stuff. And now we know. You were the OG of spin rate.
Believe it or not, I knew it back then. Even we called it. In fact, we called it rotating the ball. And I told you the story before. I wanted to rotate the ball one full time. I wanted to do that 4 times. I wanted to rotate 4 times before it got to home plate. So then I knew I had a good fastball that day. But yeah, man, the game has changed, and boy, do I the game will always change, Rob. And you've been in this game long enough to know that it'll always change. But man, it's almost like the guys, 10 years ago were saying, man, I miss the steroid era and the McGuire Sosa era. And now guys are saying, man, I wish the guys of my era where, we had good Red Sox team, you spent money, there was no Twitter, and guys would go out together, and the only thing is, I feel like, you got to be a part of all those generations, and so that's something special, to be able to watch and witness. Now it's unfortunate me and you didn't get to write a book together, and you and Joe handled that perfectly. Great. You two guys were great for it. I just think that my book necessarily wouldn't have really made it to the page.
We don't have enough. We don't have enough lawyers.
Yeah. So
we tried. I tried. Man. I full disclosure, Pat.
Yeah.
Full disclosure. You know, I
Yeah,
would.
well, you know, Rob, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take a lot of my shit to the grave. So, yeah, but yeah, I just, you know, being a part of the Red Sox for me is, it was a life changing thing, man. And, you know, being from a kid from the South, man, I didn't know anything about the Red Sox when I got drafted. Not a damn thing.
Yeah, but, you know, the thing is, and another cool part about it, Pap, is that I got to know your parents a little bit. They were always around. Your brothers, obviously part of the organization. But to come back to that era where you played with the Red Sox, it was not only the era of baseball, it was that specific clubhouse, like that specific clubhouse. Pap, it was. I say this. Can you imagine? You had such a different, an eclectic group. You had Daisuke, you had Schilling, you had Beckett, you had Lester, you had Cora, you had Lowell, you had Manny, you had Veritek. I mean, you had you. It was, and it was. I don't know if there was ever going to be a clubhouse. I will never cover a clubhouse like that. And oh, by the way, the guy who you're going in with, how could I forget? Pedroia, right? So I don't. It was such a unique place and team to be around. And I'm not just saying that because that's where I was. I've seen enough teams now where I know that that was a unique time, right?
Yeah, I'll call it a pot of gumbo. That pot of gumbo, I don't think will ever exist anymore. But you know that the best part about it is even in 04 when I was, you know, up, you know, spot starting and 05 spot starting in spring training and you know, just around some of the big leaguers from 04, that group to me, being able to learn the game from that 04 team and being around them, to me, created the culture of what was to come for like the next 10 years. And man, I'm so thankful to be a part of that. You know, just the Millars, the Wakefields, everybody that kind of created that culture of Red Sox. And now it's become known, you know. So man, I'm so glad to be a part of that. And you know, now I think even especially since Wake has passed, I think a lot of the guys from 04 to 07 ish really kind of come together more, man. Like I speak to those guys more now than I have, you know, like Dougie and Timlin and, you know, AC, all these guys that, you know, I think if we realize now more than what we realized back then, if that makes any sense.
No, it's absolutely. It's, you know, I don't want to shit on, I don't want to shit on the here and the now, because I think that, you know, we're probably, you know, if a young reporter was dropped into a clubhouse in 5 years, I'm like, oh, I wish it was like it was now. Like it's, well, okay, that's fine. But I can tell you definitively.
So let me ask you this: if a young reporter dropped in now and they walked into the clubhouse and they saw Manny Ramirez chasing after Pap with a bat, wanting to kill him or something like that, like, do you think they would be like, what the fuck?
Pap, Ortiz was in town the other day, and I turned to Ian Brown and I said, Ian, can you imagine if Ortiz wore that T-shirt that he wore every single day around the clubhouse right now, which was, you know, I'm not going to say it because it's like, I love my blank. Like it was literally like, that's what it said. Yeah. And he was just like, first of all, you would have these people come in, and because everyone's so thirsty to, you know, you're going to have one or two people thirsty to run in the hallway and tweet, oh my God. So like it wasn't like we were hiding anything, but there was a lot of stories where we witnessed where like, okay, this is nuts. This is nuts. And so I do want to go back to, because, you know, you're going to have a great ceremony. It's going to be a great time and well-deserved. There's two instances for you, which I want to reflect on. And one is like the height and one is the low. Which is the height is, I there's very few people on the planet who knows what it's like to get the final out of a season, of a major
Yeah.
league. You did it in 2007. You have the picture of you, like coming out of your skin.
Well, yeah, to punch somebody out to win the World Series, I think even Shill came up to me and was like, "Man, like you just accomplished one of my lifelong dreams to punch somebody out to win the World Series." But Rob, I don't know really, now I think about it more, man, than when I played. When I played, we were just a bunch of crazy animals, I felt like. And we were just living in the moment,
But when that happens, because I've talked to guys last year, I talked to a bunch of guys about that moment, and Kenley talks about, he's like, this is the reason I'm playing. He didn't get that opportunity when the Dodgers closed out. He's like, I can't even watch the World Series, he said, because I have to have that. Can you describe what that feeling is? I mean, you know what I remember? Like, I always remember the Steve Young holding up the Super Bowl trophy and just like having that look on his face. Nobody can describe what that feeling is like. I got to imagine it's the same thing, right?
Well, believe it or not, Rob, I think the night before, my wife and I, and Gagne's wife, Veritek, I think there was a few of us, because I mean, we knew we were going to whoop their ass. Like there was no real pondering or questioning if we were going to win. I feel like once we got past Cleveland, and it was over with. But I think we were passing around a bottle of vodka that night, about a bottle of Grey Goose that Gagne had gotten us. And I specifically remember being like, yeah, after we win this thing, this is what we're going to do. We had like planned it out, right? So I think I was even like, all right, Tech, like, you're gonna come jump in my arms, and we're gonna get like we had it all planned out, like over a bottle of vodka, though.
It was well executed. Excellent.
Yeah, it was.
Good job. Good job. Yeah, and then so the other part is, this is a low point, but it's also for me like a signature point for you. And I think we've talked about this before. Your last game with the Red Sox, it was in the game in Baltimore where Carl Crawford inexplicably didn't catch the ball. And so, but, obviously collapsed for that whole month, but you stood there for legit, Pap, an hour of answering questions in Baltimore after that game.
Yeah, I think I even ended up answering questions or not whether Tito was going to stay. And I was like, all right, y'all, we got to get this done with. I don't know if Tito, I don't know about Theo. So yeah.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah, but see, to me though, Rob, like I think athletes just in general, they have to have that. Like for me, it was a good thing. It was like almost like a reset to understand the way this game is going to go and what happens in it and the highs and lows. I think it prepared me for the rest of my career. But I don't think you are as good as you are until you go through those things, man. And like for me, I specifically remember my bullpen coach telling me one time, Gary Tuck, he told me, he's like, if you want to be great, man, you got to answer the bell to many other things, not just the playing on the field, and you got to answer to the media. You got to do things outside the game. And so that kind of struck a chord with me. So, and then again, my dad was a big influence, and every time, I said something stupid or did something stupid, I was getting that phone call for sure. Or not signing kids' autographs long enough was a big thing for him. I'd always, hey, you missed those 3 guys. Well, Dad, I got shit to do, man, but that was a big factor in me and being, like, you got to stand up for who you are, and you can't shy away from anything. This is what you signed up for. And today's game, that's a little bit kind of bothers me, because these kids, I think today, they don't know what they signed up for. When you want to be great, there's multiple things you got to sign up for. Now, you don't just play the game.
No, it's so true. Go back to that moment. Did you realize that was like you stood there in the Red Sox uniform for the last time? That was it.
That was that, Rob. That was going through my mind for the entire time. Like, and then you're getting bombarded. It's hard to kind of answer those questions because you don't know. So you don't know like the future. You don't know your future. But thankfully, I had a great GM in Theo, and me and him had a really good relationship, and it was a give and take relationship for sure. I mean, they wanted me to be a starter, and we had many of the talks going back and forth about, I think I'm going to be a better closer. No, Pat, you're going to be a star. So I was really fortunate enough to have that, that guy, Theo, man. And hopefully he'll be there and
Oh, he'll be there. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. But but I mean, it's I look back and there's been great things that like I wouldn't have been Cinco Ocho if we didn't have Alex Cora. I wouldn't have been this if I didn't have Theo. I wouldn't have been, all these different things wouldn't have happened if that perfect pot of gumbo wouldn't have been cooking. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's so true. But like I said, I mean, I feel in all sincerity, like I feel fortunate that really, Pat, for me, I got going a little bit later in my professional life, but for me, that was a sweet spot. Like that was I got going in my professional life because of you guys. I did the book with Mike Lowell after he won the World Series. So thank you, because if you don't close it out, that's a big swing in the Bradford checking account.
Yeah.
And also nobody gets to hear the Mike Lowell story.
Right.
But you mentioned Theo. This is where I'm going to segue to what I said I wanted to talk to you about. So let me just read this tweet. Let me set the scene. So Buster Olney, he surfaces a story about how Josh Hader and his agent Jeff Barry took the unprecedented step of setting usage rules for the Brewers after they beat them in arbitration, and why those rules don't exist with the Astros. You respond, say, I read this Hader story and I felt compelled to tell you that Barry and Hader were far from being the first to take these unprecedented steps to protect a reliever and his usage. In 2006, a subluxation, Aces, your agents, and I presented the Red Sox with, quote, protective guidelines for usage of a closer. They still use the detailed process we started, including stress pitch calculations, pitch numbers compared with days in a row, strength fatigue test, workout regimens, etc. Thanks to Theo, he trusted all of us to start implementing it. I never suffered any arm, and this part really should hit home. I never suffered any arm injury for the next 13 years. Hashtag Jewish Cowboys, hashtag Aces, which, I mean, almost everybody I have a good relationship. Not everybody, but a lot of the guys from this group that you're talking about, I have a great relationship, are Aces guys. You, Lowell, Pedroia, Lester, Joe Kelly, go down the list. So I think very highly of those guys. So I want you to elaborate on that. What happened?
Yeah, so when I go, I'm a big Twitter guy now, Rob.
I know you are. You're huge.
Yeah. So I read the article, and it just kind of, I was compelled to say something because I don't feel like there was frustration. I just feel like I don't, and it's nothing against Buster. I think Buster's he's reporting what these agents are saying, right?
Yep.
So it's not a knock on Buster. Let me get that first and foremost. Buster's done great for our game for a long time, great reporter. I just think that he didn't know about what we did, and so I felt compelled to say it back in 2006. And Hader's agents, I hate to tell y'all, but y'all are dead wrong. This has been going on for a while, and so what it ended up being was I had the subluxation, and my agents, being the agents, they were like, listen, you cannot be thrown out there all the time. Let's sit down, let's figure this out about how you can stay healthy throughout the season for next year, right? And the number one thing was stress pitches and the things that I had mentioned, back-to-back days, how many pitches were thrown in those days, workout regimens, etc. So I worked out every day. Every day, it did not matter. I did something to activate my body to get ready as far as working out. There's a lot of different other things, but these agents today, in order to protect their players, they had to protect them to make the money. And so that's essentially what they came to me and said, hey, we got to protect you as an agent. We got to protect you from yourself. And so I just took to it, man. And each year, Rob, there were little things that we could tweak and do that we learned from the year previously. You know, and so I just feel like I needed to say something about it because nowadays we're getting a lot more technical. And this was a technical thing that we did before the game got technical. And I really appreciated Theo in the whole thing because Theo could have been like, Pap, you're a damn rookie. You don't know shit about this game yet. But I think he knew how great I wanted to be and how my agents understood me well. And he understood Sam and Seth very well. He had a great relationship with them. So that made a big difference. But man, for me, it was just all about staying healthy, availability being the best ability, and the relationship with Theo and my agents. And it worked. And it kept me healthy my whole year, man.
There's no lie to that. And I think that you hit the nail on the head. You had people, that's what you want in agents, right? You want the people who are going to have you back, not only financially, but in terms of, okay, this is what's best, and then present it to your employer in a way that it's not like, hey, do this, like there's other examples of agents. Hey, what are you doing playing my guy here or doing that? It was, let's get together, let's figure this out. And all you need to know, Pat, you said arm injury, man. Like you didn't have an arm injury.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
What do you think about if I put this program together, went back with my agents, and almost reacquired all the data and analytics for what it would take for a closer throughout the season to make it and how it would do, and I wrapped it up into a book and we sold it?
Sure.
We could go all the way from little league to big leagues.
Sure. I mean, you're here to educate, you're here to help.
Right. So would our game not be better if every pitcher out there had a tool in their bags as a guideline or a book or whatever the fuck you want to call it?
Yeah.
To say, but see, here's the thing about it is you have to have self-inventory. So you have to go back after each night and every night that you throw and calculate, okay, I threw 15 pitches that were high stress. I threw 8 that weren't. I threw a total of 23 pitches, X amount fastballs, X amount splits, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is you have to have self-inventory and you can't lie to yourself,
Yeah. And what's amazing is that you have examples. The Brewers had examples, whatever. But not everybody is taking stock of this. Once again, you weren't hurt, Pap. So whatever you're saying is right. Whatever you put in place is right.
Hey, look, I think 13 years of being able to toe the rubber for 75, 80 games a year speaks for itself.
What was some of the things that were like, okay, this is we're going to make sure that this happens or doesn't happen when you were going through. In other words, whether it's back-to-backs, whether it's, okay, what constituted a high leverage situation? What were some of the things that come to mind that like, this was important that we do this or don't do this?
Okay, so to me, the biggest proprietary thing was high leverage pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Guys on base was a high leverage pitch. 1-run ball games are all high leverage pitches. for some reason, to me, those took a lot more out of me. They just did. The stress gets elevated. The body tends to want to do more things. The game is on the line versus it not. So after every game, there's a 10-minute, 5-minute self inventory of that game, and you take that and you carry that. It's almost like having a notebook, right? So you have a notebook, and my teammates used to make fun of me, get whatever. Javi Lopez used to fuck with me all the time and be like, doing your homework today? Oh, you're getting prepared for your game, aren't you, today? Like, oh, let me see what your steps are today. Oh, yeah, there you go. It was what it was. I was very dedicated. I took my medicine at the same time, and allowed Cinco Ocho to show up at a certain time every day. Things like that. But it was all part of it, man. It was so detailed that there was not going to be anything that I was going to be caught by surprise. I'll say that much.
Yeah. So where are guys going wrong now? And I don't know if I've asked like tens and tens and tens of hundreds of guys now about this pitcher injury thing. I don't know if I've asked you to power rank it, like in terms of tell me the main reason you think these injuries are happening. You've probably said it somewhere else. I don't know. But Pap, I've gotten so many answers. Kenley's like the pitch clock, or someone else is Josiah Gray was on with us, and he said it was like spinning the ball too much. Whatever.
Yeah.
Give me yours.
There's not a one specific thing, Rob. Here's the thing: is that it's a multitude of things. Like I'll go back and say when I would do my post game reports on myself. Shout out to Al Nipper, who really got me involved with that. But it's spin rate. It's trying to spin the ball. It's trying to have more strikeouts and strike everybody out versus my walk rate, because that's so big now. Everybody wants the strikeout rate. It's pitches per inning. It's time. It's the clock. There is a multitude of things here, Ralph, that affect these guys getting hurt. And when you lay on top of that, these guys are brought up to spin and throw with max effort on every pitch. It's a recipe for disaster when you throw all those other things in there. To me, the biggest piece of advice and the best piece of advice I ever got was from Mariano, my first All-Star game. I said, hey, Mo, I need one piece of advice. I know we're enemies, but, we're both closers. Help me out. And he said, Pat, he had noticed that my first year I'd be striking everybody out. I said, Pat, you don't got to strike everybody out. He said, I get more joy out of throwing one pitch and getting them out than striking them out. And that hit hard for me, man. It was efficiency. So efficiency has gone out the window. Efficiency is 7-8 innings, great. Now 5 or 6 innings with 10 punch outs is efficient. To me, that's not efficient.
Man, that's a good story. Well, what was that?
2006.
Oh yeah, I remember 2008. That was a different All-Star game. But that's a great story and great advice. All right, Pap. Last thing, I'm going to allow you to workshop your speech, your thank you speech. Like, have you got it? Have you written it down? Have you done anything?
I didn't know I was having to give a speech.
I don't know. I just assumed. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this much, okay? And when I do give speeches, I don't write speeches down. I just go up there and whatever comes from the heart to the brain to the mouth, whatever can filter that through, and it just it comes out. That's how it goes.
It's going to be a great couple days. You, Pedroia, Trot Nixon, a few others. So
yeah, and let me say something on that too, Rob. I'll be the first one to say that. To me, I think the most thing that I'm excited about is who I'm going into this Hall of Fame with. Dude, Trot and Pedroia. Like, I viewed myself as the everyday player, right? I didn't want to be a starter. And to go in with two like everyday players of those kind of players, dude, that I don't think ever walk back in after a game with a clean jersey or uniform, just That's awesome, man.
You know what's awesome for me, honestly, is that we joke around a lot. You and I, Pedroia, and I, this is one of the things like in the clubhouse that I miss sort of. It's like you, me, and Pedroia used to literally yell at like give each other shit like yell across the clubhouse. It was
yeah.
right. I mean, but we're always giving each other shit.
Right.
But,
well, I learned something from Tim Wakefield when I first got to the big leagues, man. He said to me, if I'm not giving you shit or these veterans aren't giving you the shit, then we don't give a shit.
Exactly. So for me to see how much this means sincerely to you and to Dustin, to Trot, like it's awesome because we could just joke about like that's great for me. So anyway, congratulations. Let me be the first because I had to be the first. So
thank you, man.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rob. We'll see you soon, brother.